Hi everyone. I see Lihle is ready to join us. Just going to wait for a while to let people join before I accept. Alrighty, let's get started. So hi everyone, welcome to another live Q&A with LISOF. My name is Julia and tonight I have the privilege to interview Lihle Ndoni, the head fashion buyer at Superbalist. So I'm just going to waiting for Lihle. Just still waiting for Lihle to join us. Lihle, are you here? I'm not sure if she's in. Not finding the request. Sorry guys, we're just waiting for Lihle to join. Ah, there you are.
There we
Hi.
go. Hey.
I'm not very tech savvy, so apologies.
It's fine. We made it in the end.
So to everyone who just joined us, my name is Julia. I'm currently doing my honors at LISOF, and joining me tonight is the esteemed head fashion buyer Lihle Ndoni at Superbalist. So guys, if you have any questions related to the fashion industry or fashion buy, please just pop a question in the comments and I'll make sure to ask Lihle your question at the end of our interview session. So Lihle, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, hi everyone. First of all, I'm Lihle Ndoni, and I'm not a head of fashion yet. I'm a junior buyer at Superbalist, been at Superbalist for about 7 months now. So I've been in retail since 2017. I've had experience in both traditional retail and now I'm on the exciting journey of my online retail journey. And I studied at LISOF, graduated in 2017 as well. And I studied a BA in fashion.
Perfect. It's such a nice, experience to actually chat to a LISOF alumni and get your kind of perception and of everything. So,
Yeah.
tell us more about your career and what does a day in the life of a fashion buyer look like?
So beyond the product stuff and the clothes stuff, it's a lot of analysis. So a lot of analysis has to inform your buying decisions. So it's analysis of trends, which you at LISOF you do trend analysis. It's analysis of what the customer actually wants, what the customer gravitates to, what doesn't work for the customer, what works for the customer, as well as sales and reacting to trade. Like if the customer likes it, what are we going to do about it? If she doesn't like it, let's not give it to her again. And those things. And then the product side is working with color, fabric, trims in order to give the customer the end product.
So, being a fashion buyer, you obviously have to interact with a lot of primary stakeholders and to get like the broader and the biggest scheme of things. So, who do you usually engage with when it comes to your merchandise selections and, the general process of fashion buying?
So all those group projects that we all moaned about at LISOF came in really handy when I went into the corporate world, because in retail your whole job is teamwork. In the internal team, usually will consist of a buyer, a buyer's assistant, a planner, a technologist, a designer, an imports merchandiser. It's a big team, and each of those people will feed into and report to each of their managers. So it's quite a big structure. So without those people, none of it can go as smoothly as it does. So teamwork is essential in that.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
definitely agree with you on that. I think that, it's such an important skill to have to
Yeah.
actually kind of collectively work together with people. And you have a lot of different viewpoints and perceptions and, everyone's different of thinking creatively or more,
Yeah, absolutely.
so it's nice to merge those things together.
No,
What
definitely.
did you decide to follow a career in fashion? What motivated and influenced you?
So before matriculating, I always thought I'd be a fashion designer. So obviously I applied to LISOF to do fashion design. But when I got to LISOF, it opened up my mind so much to the other possibilities within the industry and the opportunities within the industry. Excuse me. And so while I was at LISOF, I completely shifted and changed my curriculum. So first year I did a BA in fashion design, and then in second year I changed my entire curriculum to do a BA in fashion and focus completely on the retail side, because I had fallen completely in love with buying, and I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. And the rest, as they say, is history.
So, being a LISOF alumni, tell us more about your experience at LISOF.
So LISOF, like I said, exposed me to like many different areas of within fashion. And I will say, without LISOF, I wouldn't have discovered the many different facets of fashion, and even the ones that I'm not directly in right now as a career. They do affect my thinking and the way that I process information and the way that I approach life.
Yeah, yeah. So you have, as you mentioned previously, you've been in industry now for almost 7. So, what is kind of your expectation realities of the fashion industry? Kind of your best and worst moments that you've experienced so far.
So, so I started in retail in 2017 actually. And the best and worst is that I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Retail is hard. It is not for the lighthearted. you work hard. But the best of it is that you get to do something that you love, and you're usually surrounded by people who are as driven as you and as passionate about the product and as passionate about the brands that you work with as you are. And you can make some really great lifelong friends through it. And you learn so much. 3 months in retail is like 5 years in school. So that
there's currently, there's a broad when it comes to the current state of the fashion industry, and specifically looking at the pandemic that we are currently facing.
Yeah.
So COVID-19 on the rise, how has that influenced your work environment?
So obviously it's forced all of us to adapt and quickly, because retail is quite a fast industry, and if you don't catch up, if you're not ahead, you're behind. So it's forced all of us to find what's the best way to work and how can we make the most of our current situation. And it's really shown us the beauty of technology, because I can be lockdown in Johannesburg, which is where I currently am, and the head office is in Cape Town, and we haven't missed a beat. So
how do you think has COVID-19 kind of affected South African buying workforce?
In terms of the product that the customer now wants is completely different, because we're at home. We're not going to be buying suits and going out clothes. People are looking for leisure. People are looking for comfort. So give the customer what they want. Push leisure, buy leisure. And yeah, so it's forced us to adapt in that way.
How do you think now with consumers' consumption patterns, how do you think will that affect the future of buying in South Africa in terms of, being a fashion buyer? How is that going to be different a year from now, post-pandemic? How are things going to change?
Things are going to change a lot. Everything changes after the pandemic, from retail to the way we build our buildings. So buying patterns are obviously going to change. Money is going to be tight, so we're going to have to really push product that the customer really, really wants. No waffling about. We have to really get in touch with our customer and find out what their needs are and the best ways to meet those needs, because people aren't going to be spending things on frivolous things anymore.
I just feel like, there's kind of this whole recipe of being a fashion buyer is going to change, because now there's a big pause button that has been pressed. It's, fashion always evolves, but I think now with digitalization and everything from COVID, it's just going to influence the industry massively. And it's also interesting to see how South African industry will kind of adapt to changes globally. So what excites you? Changes. What excites you the most about the South African fashion industry?
So obviously, just touching on those changes, obviously at the moment and in the future, online is going to be massive, because no one wants to go outside. So online is going to have to step up their game and push to meet that customer. But what excites me most about the South African landscape when it comes to fashion is that there's so much untapped potential, and there's so much talent in this country. And when you're talking about untapped potential, the sky is the limit. Like, with this generation of fashion designers, you can be pioneers of the future, because there's just so much to do in South Africa.
I think also with kind of on that note of the pandemic, there's a lot of new skills and
absolutely
that people will kind of formulate themselves. Great. And it's also kind of, everything has shifted to being more flexible. So that will also work nicely into the fashion industry, in terms of locally and globally.
Definitely.
So, any advice that you would like to give any aspiring fashion followers, people who would like to aspire in fashion, or who would like to advance their career?
My advice to anyone in any industry is get involved. Find ways to get into the door. intern, job shadow. Even if you're just on weekends, you go into stores, you ask if you can have a part-time job shadowing someone, just so you can understand what the ins and outs are, because nothing beats hands-on experience. So, and also believe in yourself, because in any industry, you need to back yourself. You need to be confident and know that what I bring to the table is valuable, and South Africa needs my unique gifts and talents. And just go after your dreams with the full force of your heart.
Thank you very much for thoughtful answers. I think that everyone watching is very opportunistic and very optimistic about everything. So I'm going to open the floor and ask you some of the questions that viewers would like to know. So JD Williams, she would like to know, how did you get working at Superbalist? Did the experiential learning module at LISOF give you an idea of what the life and as a buyer would look like?
So I started my career at Woolworths actually, but I didn't do my experiential learning at Woolworths. I did it at Busby for a couple months, and obviously that didn't show me everything, because Busby isn't the same retailer as like a private label retailer, because they do lots of brands. But before doing experiential learning with LISOF, I did my own 2-week experiential learning at Woolworths head office, just to get like a taste of what is actually happening here, where do I see myself fitting in, and where do I actually fit in. And I went through a process of sitting with different people within the teams I mentioned earlier. And initially I was stuck. I thought I wanted to be in design, even though I came in for buying. But seeing the day-to-day work showed me that, okay, buying is actually where it's at. It's more aligned with my skills and my talents.
On that note, Daisy_DA would like to know what made you want to move into buying instead of designing?
Initially, I hated garment theory. I was like, I am not good at this. So I was like, peace, fashion design, I'm out. And decided to focus on retail and buying. But buying just makes sense. It's such a logical process. And if you like analysis and like getting right, you'll love buying, because there's nothing like walking down the street and seeing a customer in one of your t-shirts. You're just like, girl, I made that for you. I'm so glad you liked it.
I think it's also it's the design very need orientated. There's a lot people who aspire to become fashion designers, and then they also more analytical and business side of it, being a fashion buyer. But it's nice because you also, from my experience at LISOF, you get to kind of merge those two together. You have a lot of subjects, and you also have your business subjects, and you actually all interlink, which is very let's scroll and see if we have questions. I think that might be all. Let's see. So JD Williams has another question. She would like to know, does Superbalist currently have any internships or any experiential learning programs that are
unfortunately, none that I know of. We're still quite a small company. Most would consider us a startup, so we're not really there yet. But I'm sure they will scream and shout about it as soon as they do, because we want young minds, we want young talent.
No, definitely. Do you have any advice for people trying to get jobs or internships during the pandemic? How do you think kind of can they follow onto that?
That's a tough one. I mean, at this point, it's honestly just spread yourself as far as wide as you can. Have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You can't just be like, this is the only place I want to, because you might stumble into something that doesn't feel like it's what you want to do, but you will always learn something from somewhere. And that knowledge you can take into your next job until you find the right fit. So just apply, honestly, apply everywhere, because
I
you will
think one
learn something either
learn
way.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Daisy would also like to know, is working from Superbalist as an online shop very different from Woolworths? How different is it exactly? Can you explain a bit more to us your experience from the other?
It's very different, purely because of the size of the businesses and also the platforms of the businesses. So Woolworths obviously operates, they have online, but they operate mainly in brick and mortar. So they have a lot more space to play, a lot more stores to fill, a lot more things, deliverables to meet. Whereas Superbalist, that website is our whole store. That is what you get. So we work with smaller units. We work with a closer, with a smaller supply group, and the work is pretty much the same. Just the volume of the work is less. So it's pretty much the same experience, just way less pressure. If I'm making any sense.
No, you make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Then LISOF Lisa would like to know, are there any other LISOF working at Superbalist?
At Superbalist, yes, quite a few actually, and quite a few at Woolworths as well.
Okay.
So a lot, some people who went for experiential learning at Woolworths are currently at Woolworths. I know Tato Lehana is a designer there. Who else is there? There's quite a lot of people. LISOF is there. It's fully represented. So
Good to know. That's very good
yeah.
to know. I don't see any other options, but I do think, that there's a huge spike of interest in terms of becoming a fashion buyer, which is great. And I think that
Exactly.
we are all very thankful for insightful comments about the industry and being a fashion buyer, because it gives you a lot of perspective hearing it from someone that's got first-hand experience.
Yeah.
So that's it from me for tonight. We can leave the floor open for more comments. Guys, if you have any other questions that you'd like me to ask Lihle, you can leave them in the comment. Not seeing any comments at the moment, but if you are interested in studying at LISOF, you are more than welcome to contact our LISOF team with regard to registrations and things like that. But yeah, thank you everyone, and thank you Lihle for your time, and yeah, just thank you very much.
Thanks, Julia. Thanks, LISOF. Thanks everyone for joining us today.
Oh, I see we have another question, so we're not done yet.
Okay, cool. Daisy DN asked.
Daisy_, what are the key skills you need to be good at a fashion buyer?
So I mentioned it earlier. Beyond being creative, you need to be good at analysis, because the whole job is analysis. And if you missed it, it's analyzing trends and filtering those to be commercial enough for your customer. It's analyzing sales trends. What does the customer like? What doesn't the customer like? If she likes it, let's grow that business. If she hates it, scrap it. So yeah, you need to be really good at analysis and really good at thinking on your feet and thinking out of the box. And problem solving is key, because it's not a normal day if there's not a problem. So you need to be really good at those three things, I'd say.
And that's the good thing about LISOF, because you get to experience all those things in the course of your studies. You do have analysis, you have basically the whole,
Yeah.
which is very nice when you
Yeah.
start as a fashion buyer. So yeah, thank you very much. Guys, if you have any more questions, please DM LISOF, and we will refer them to Lihle, and will answer us with the questions. So thank you all for joining tonight. Stay safe and stay warm.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.